Hey Michael, it's Mark. When you were relaying to me today at BNI about having the low back issue that you've been dealing with, it got me kind of thinking. I was driving back to my gym, a couple of strategies you can use at home to really kind of help alleviate the tension in your low back. Number one is going to be posture. So whenever you're standing, you can kind of look at yourself in a mirror to kind of get yourself set in a good position. So what I would do is I would stand, perpendicular to a mirror and look at your pelvis. So when I'm standing up straight, my pelvis should be neutral. It shouldn't be like this, which is what most people get into because they sit for long periods of time. So their body just continues that shape in their low back when they stand up, because it's a lot easier for your body to hold that position than get back into neutral right here. So I want you to practice that, is tucking your pelvis and acting like someone's about to punch you in the gut. So you have a slight brace in your abdominals, tuck your pelvis and stand straight. When you practice that over time, just when you're standing, eventually your body's gonna catch on, and that's gonna feel really simple. You're gonna adopt that movement pattern very easily. So that's number one I would really practice on, is to stand next to the mirror, look there, make sure everything feels right. And so once you can feel how that position's supposed to feel, then you can naturally get into that, having a conversation with somebody. So, feet are pointed straight ahead, abs are a little, like maybe it's braced about 10%, pelvis is tucked, and now you don't feel any pressure in your low back whatsoever. So basically that's gonna be the first thing. The second thing would be, when you're at home, I would use a elevated step, a chair, something that's stable that you can really kind of help work your hip flexors with, which get really tight. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna put a foot on top of the box like so, take your same side hand, put it on top of your shoe just like this, opposite hand's gonna go on the chair, and you're just gonna push your hips forward and drive your knee out just like that. So the knee's not going forward, it's going away from the body as your hips go forward, because that's the exact same position your hips and your knees get into at the bottom part of a squat. So I'd spend about a minute on each side really driving the knee out as the hips go forward and trying to keep your back relatively flat. So I'd spend about a minute on each side. The third thing is I would stand in a doorway, and let's go and use this as an example. So just put your hands in a doorway and let your body naturally squat into a bottom position, get as low as possible, and really focus on pushing your knees out. And so when you're doing this, you have a nice, you're like a chest is up and out, and you're just kind of moving side to side, letting your hips naturally move. You can kind of move them forwards and backwards if you want to, but find a nice comfortable range of motion. Just breathe normally, and just kind of hang out in this position for a couple of minutes. If that's too much, then basically kind of focus on a minute. But over time, when you do this and you squat down and you have to pick up your 3-year-old grandson, for instance, it's gonna feel a lot easier, because now your body understands that position, and it's a lot of, basically using good posture and getting in that bottom position of a squat, that's gonna feel amazing for you. So definitely do that for 1 to 3 minutes, depending on how your body feels. Fourth thing, you're gonna use an exercise band. You can do this 2 different ways. So what you can do is you can lay flat on your back on the ground, and the first position is going to be practicing keeping your feet keeping your legs about 90 degrees, pushing your heels into the ground, squeezing your butt and driving your hips to the ceiling. So basically your shoulders are just on the ground, and then come back down, drive them straight up again, squeezing your pelvis. So I'd spend about 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps doing this, because this will help turn on your butt as well as stretch out your hip flexors. What you can add to this, if this exercise is too easy, is you can take a resistance band and keep plenty of tension on it. So hold this position just like this. So you're going to keep your pelvis elevated in the air, and you're going to rotate and basically let your inside hand touch the floor. Rotate here, let your inside hand touch the floor. Still keeping the same amount of tension on the band. So you're gonna let your opposite elbow rotate up. It's basically you're squeezing your butt and keeping your pelvis in the air. So obviously, Don't start with this one. Start with just the normal bridge of lying on the ground, squeezing your butt cheeks, and going straight up to the ground and then coming back down. Once that gets easy and basically your body's like, well, I'm cool, I'm done, that's way too easy for me to do, then basically incorporate the resistance band and add some rotation on the ground, letting your shoulder come up and letting your opposite hand touch the ground, keeping plenty of tension on the band. Those are 4 simple exercises you can do at home that really should take a lot of pressure off your low back, especially working on posture every day and just really keeping that pelvis, you know, imagine it's like a bucket of water, you're not letting it tip out and basically let water seep out, you want to keep it neutral and level. So again, just abs braced, pelvis tucked, and just stand there, and that'll take a lot of pressure off your low back. So I hope if I don't chat with you before then, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and I will see you soon.